What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC Vegas 103. We have Manel Kape going against Almabayev. We are back in the Apex for a fun 10-fight card. We ended up losing 2 fights, one before the weigh-ins, one after the weigh-ins. We lost the Douglas Silva, Andrade, John Castaneda fight. And then we unfortunately lost the Luana Carolina, Montana De La Rosa fight. So down to 10 fights for this card, and I'm happy. For the first time in a long time, we have some canceled fights, and I didn't have any action on either of those 2 fights. So feeling good about this week. A lot of spots sticking out. I think we're going to have another violent card. Maybe not as violent as last week, but still, I think we have a fun night of fights, although there is only 10. So before we get into it and break it all down, if you guys could do me a couple favors, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, let me know your favorite bet for this week. And if you guys do want to support me more, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. That's where you'll find all my other content week in and week out. And yeah, so I have most of my bets in. I will be adding one more bet on the main event. When I do add it, of course, it'll be on the website, and then I'll also pin it down in the comments, and I will be adding something. I'm just kind of waiting for a potential line move, or we're kind of seeing where the main event goes, but we'll talk about it. But we're kicking it off, I guess, now in the flyweight division with Temirov going against Charles Johnson, and I get to hold up my CLV trophy. I get to hold it up high. I get to hold it up proud because I got it on Charles Johnson plus 114, and I have 1.5 units on it. At this point, Charles Johnson is now minus 135. I think waiting for a live entry is probably the better route to go. But yeah, I mean, I like Johnson here. This is one of those minute winner versus moment winner type fights, and I'm looking at this fight, and it's like Charles Johnson's the much more experienced fighter. He's fought the much better competition. I think he's much more active in the striking, a lot more volume, the better cardio. I think Johnson has a rare wrestling advantage here, a rare grappling advantage here as well. But Temirov, he has really one thing, and it's power, and he has a lot of it. You know, this guy, Temirov, he's looking to take off your head. But I just struggle to believe he's going to be the first person to ever knock out Charles Johnson. If he does, he does. If he doesn't, I think Charles Johnson wins this fight, winning the later half of the fight, round 2, round 3. Could potentially even win round 1, though, you know, just based off of doing more. So I like Johnson here. Got in early. It was my first bet of the week, 1.5 units plus 114, and I'll also be looking at the live line as well. But yeah, if you like Temirov, maybe the KO one is the way to go, but yeah, I like Johnson here. Next, we have Danny Silva going against Lucas Almeida. So fortunately, this fight stays on the card. We have Lucas Almeida missing weight here. So I think this has potential to be fight of the night. If the Ribovics fight wasn't on this card, I think this could potentially be fight of the night, but I think it's going to be the Ribovics fight. But yeah, this is a fun fight. Danny Silva is a fun fighter. You know, I like his style. This is a guy that's not scared to go out there and stand and bang, and that's exactly what Lucas Almeida wants to do. But what Danny Silva also does, and also should do in this matchup, is mix in the takedowns. Lucas Almeida is a black belt in BJJ, as is Danny Silva, but anytime we've seen Lucas Almeida off of his back, it's been very bad. Very, very bad. And I'm not just talking about the Pat Sabatini fight where Sabatini ran right through him. Even in other fights, he's getting taken down, he's getting stuck on his back, he's getting put into bad spots. And although Danny Silva has actually 0 submissions on his record, he was very close to submitting Joshua Culibao. I'm surprised that Culibao did not tap there. I think Silva by submission is very live here. I bet Silva by submission plus 800 for a half a unit. If he implements the wrestling, which I absolutely think he's going to do so, I think he could get a potential choke here. So I like Danny Silva by submission, and I also love violence here. I think, like I said, both these guys are down to stand and bang on the feet. Both these guys have no strike and defense. Danny Silva is willing to eat one to give one, as is Lucas Almeida. Both guys have power as well, and I think both guys, more so Danny Silva, could win by sub. So I played the fight doesn't go to decision, 1.5 units, minus 140. Also don't mind the under 2.5, but I kind of do want those extra 2.5 minutes here, especially with the weight miss with Almeida, and then especially with just the style of Danny Silva. A lot of his finishes do come, you know, round 2, round 3. So give me violence, give me the fight doesn't go. I think this is going to be an absolute banger of the fight, and I think Danny Silva submission is absolutely on the table. JJ Aldrich, Andrea Lee. Yeah, this is one of the very few fights where I don't have a bet on this fight. The pick is JJ Aldrich. The pick is JJ Aldrich by decision, but that's minus 150. I was looking at maybe like the fight ends by split, but I swear it's the worst split line I've ever seen. It's like plus 225. So I think it's Probably competitive, but I'm not picking Andrew Lee here. The pick's Aldrich, but no bet for me on this one. Next, we got Kape Mariscal going against Ricardo Ramos. We got Kape minus 400, Ricardo Ramos plus 300. Kape was like minus 500, but money came in on Ricardo Ramos. But yeah, I like Kape here. I think skill for skill, this line should be a lot closer, but, Kape has those intangibles that I think matter, especially in this fight, and that's heart, that's durability, which I think Ricardo Ramos, lacks both those things. Ricardo Ramos has been finished in 5 of his 6 losses. He's been subbed 3 times. He's been knocked out 2 times, and, I was looking at, like, the Kape 2-3, because I kind of do think it comes 2-3, and then I was looking at Ramos, and those 5 finished losses, all 5 of them come in the very first round. So I don't want to be, going out there and attacking those 2-3 props here, because it could happen in round 1. Ricardo Ramos is a guy that is a good hammer, but just a terrible nail. We have a couple terrible nails on this card, and Ricardo Ramos is one of them. So I'm on Kape Mariscal inside the distance, minus 125 for 2 units, and I think he finishes Ramos. And I think it could come in any round. So no round props for me on this one, but I think Mariscal gets him out of there at some point. I also don't hate the under. I don't hate the fight doesn't go to decision, because if Ramos was to pull off this upset, I think it'd be some type of, flashy knockout. I doubt he's subbing Mariscal, but I think it'd be like a flashy knockout type thing. But yeah, I like Mariscal here, and I think he breaks Ramos. Next, we have Danny Barlow going against Sam Patterson. I do have one parlay on this card, a violence parlay. I parlayed up the under 2.5 in that fight, and I'll keep it at that. I think it's a very violent fight here stylistically. Wherever the fight goes, somebody's going to be in danger, whether that's on the feet. Sam Patterson has that very tall man's defense, chin up in the air, hands down, questionable chin. Barlow hits like a truck. I think Barlow by knockout's the most likely scenario, but if Sam Patterson gets this fight down to the ground, we've seen Barlow put into very bad spots. Sam Patterson's a legit black belt on the mat. So yeah, wherever this fight goes, somebody's in danger. I think somebody's getting served here. The pick is Barlow. But Patterson, he does have a path here. He does have a path, and that path would be like an early submission. So just give me the under 2.5 in a parlay. I'll keep it at that. I don't mind the under 1.5. I don't mind the fight won't start round 3 either, but ended up just parlaying the under 2.5 with something else I like later down the card. Next, we got William Gomis going against Haider Amil. And yeah, this is... I don't know. I mean, I like Amil here in this fight. He's plus 175. I put 1 unit on him at plus 185. And the reason being is I just think he has a lot of ways to win this fight. William Gomis has been a split decision merchant thus far in the UFC. All 3 of his decision wins come by split or majority decision. So I think, like, worst case scenario, Gomis wins a split decision, and I see people saying there's value on Gomis at minus 205, and yeah, he can win the fight, but is Gomis going to look minus 205 here? I'm not quite sure. Like, is a split decision warranted of like minus 205? I don't think so. Gomis does a very good job at making the fight as boring as possible, doing absolutely nothing, and also drawing his opponents into doing absolutely nothing. We've seen it time and time again. But I just struggle to believe that he's going to go out there and hypnotize Amil into doing absolutely nothing. You take a look at the strike numbers from Amil. This guy's landing more strikes in the first minute of a fight than Gomis has landed his entire career. So, yeah, skill for skill, Gomis is the much more skilled fighter. I think Gomis is a very, very skilled fighter. Skill for skill, Gomis should be minus 205, but he just doesn't do anything. He's very defensively sound, 71% strike and defense. So I think Amil could potentially hurt Gomis and knock him out. I think Amil could potentially get this fight down to the ground and get a sub. And I think Amil could also win a very close competitive decision where he's just doing more. So I think all 3 paths are on the table for Amil. He's a big underdog, so I'll take the 1 unit shot on Amil plus 185. But I'm fully aware there's a good chance it's going to be Gomis by split decision per usual. So yeah, we'll see. Next, we got Mario Pinto going against Austin Lane. Mario Pinto, the biggest favorite on the card, minus 515. Austin Lane, plus 400. So yeah, typically you don't want to lay minus 515 on a guy making his debut, especially with porous competition as well outside the contender series and all that. But stylistically, I think it's a very good matchup for Pinto here. You take a look at Austin Lane, and anytime he's had success in the UFC, it's because he's able to get these guys down. Jonathan Deniz in the first round, Rebelis to Spain in every round. But with Mario Pinto, one thing I looked for was, does this guy have takedown defense? And the answer is yes. Yes, he does. So Yeah, I think he stuffs the takedowns. I think on the feet, Austin Lane has that tall man's defense. I think he's very chinny, and although Pinto doesn't have, as much power as some of the guys that has knocked out Lane, I'm not sure he's going to need, that much power to knock out Lane. So I think that Pinto by knockout is a very good look. I was able to get on Pinto by knockout, 2 units, minus 138. Line still around there. I think it's a Pinto knockout. Pinto knockout here. Next we got Esteban Ribovics going against Nasrat Haqparast. I think this is the fight of the night here. It's hard to imagine this fight not being very fun, very exciting. I have a couple spots that I do like here. I like the fight doesn't go to decision. I'm on it for 1 unit at plus 150, and I'm also on the Esteban Ribovics round 2, round 3 props, round 2 plus 900 for a quarter unit, round 3 plus 1400 for a quarter unit. And yeah, I think it's going to be a banger. Both these guys are going to get the fight that they want. They're going to stand and bang until one man falls. Both these guys have a lot of power. Both these guys are also very durable. But, I did not like how Haqparast was reacting in the Jared Gordon fight. It looked like Gordon was on his way to breaking Haqparast in that second round. He was getting hit clean, kind of running away in there. And I kind of envision Ribovics breaking Haqparast. I think Ribovics is going to land upwards of 100 to 150 plus significant strikes here on the chin of Haqparast. And like I said, Ribovics has power. Arguably knocked out Daniel Zellhuber. I mean, running away is not intelligently defending yourself. But yeah, I think Ribovics very live to potentially break Haqparast as the fight goes on. So yeah, give me the fight doesn't go. Give me these Ribovics 2-3 props. I think this has absolute fireworks written all over it. And I think somebody can get knocked out with, how hard both these guys hit. Next, we have the co-main event. We got Julian Marquez going against Cody Brundage. Good luck if you're betting either side here. I can't trust either one of these guys. The fight is trending towards a straight pick'em, as it should be. With Marquez, you have no durability. With Brundage, you have no heart. Yeah, fight could go either way. I'm not touching a money line. What I do like, though, is violence. This is going to close out my violence parlay. I have the under 2.5 in the Marquez-Brundage fight, parlayed with the under 2.5 in the Barlow-Patterson fight. Came out to minus 124. And I have 2.5 units on that. So that's my violence parlay for this week. I also don't mind the under 1.5 rounds, although it has been smashed. It was like minus 115. It's now like minus 160. But yeah, I think somebody gets served here. Pick your poison. Like I said, best of luck for... I struggled to even pick this fight, let alone bet it. So who knows what's going to happen, but what I do think is going to happen is somebody gets served, whether that's a Brundage KO, whether that's a Marquez KO, a Marquez club and sub. Who knows what's going to happen here, but I think it's a violent fight nonetheless. And then we got the main event, Manel Kape going against Asu Almabayev. I like Kape here quite a bit. A lot of people are on the Almabayev side, I see, which I'm expecting. I was expecting this line to move because I've seen a ton of people on him, but the line's just not budging. So I'm gonna keep sitting back and waiting. Maybe I can get Kape minus 200 or better. But yeah, haven't played anything yet on this main event, but I'm gonna be looking at maybe the Manel Kape money line, maybe the Manel Kape same game parlay with the over 1.5, something along the lines of that. But I do like Kape quite a bit. I think it's his fight to lose. I think he has leveled up over the years in terms of the takedown defense, the scrambling ability, the BJJ, all those three things, and all those three things are going to come into play here. And then on the feet, it's just one-way traffic. Manel Kape's just a much better striker. So, yeah, I like Kape here, and I like him a lot. Just kind of waiting to see where this line plays out, really. So, yeah, I will be betting on Kape in one way or another. And then we got the quick recap here. Like I said, the 2.5 unit parlay, the under 2.5 in the Marquez Brundage fight with the under 2.5 in the Barlow Patterson fight. Ribovics Haqparast fight doesn't go with the Ribovics round 2, round 3 props. Mario Pinto by knockout. What else we got? A Hyder Amil money line, 1 unit plus 185. Got the Kape Mariscal inside the distance, 2 units minus 125. Have the Danny Silva, Lucas Almeida fight doesn't go to decision, 1.5 units minus 140. Danny Silva by sub, half a unit plus 800. And then Charles Johnson money line, 1.5 units plus 114. That is all the action for UFC Vegas 103. Not a lot of fights, but a lot of action. So we'll see how it plays out. Best of luck, everybody, for UFC Vegas 103. And we'll talk to you guys very soon. See ya.